Alright, haven't done one of these in a while, but I want to do some more. Quick update to everything that's going on. Haven't done the videos, but I am starting to do the content again. I'm writing articles now. I'm going to do these videos. I've got a few ideas for topics. I'm also doing the interviews with players because I think that's really important. But on that note of new things, this is not staying. This is just me being lazy and not shaving when I haven't been on camera. I can't grow a beard, as is clearly obvious. What I can do is this abomination around my face. So don't worry, that probably won't be there the next time I do one of these. Although I'm sure people will comment on it anyway. So, what is this video about? Stability. I kind of wanted to start the videos I do again on a positive note. It's very easy for me to rant about things, to criticize, and there are some very important topics I will be criticizing coming up. But first time I've done one of these in a while. Positive things. Stability in Call of Duty. I know what you're thinking. There's a lot of negative people out there who like to tell you about stability's gone down the pan. But I want people to kind of highlight, I want you to look at now, is the fact that Call of Duty is in a much better position than it was 2-3 years ago. Not just because of the infrastructure provided by the CWL, but because of the general attitude and the way that team contracts have got better. Don't get me wrong, I did a video on contracts and the issues with contracts. This is not about that. This is about the fact that teams aren't changing as often, that rosters are now stable, that we actually have these great threads and storylines coming through because of this change. Now, some of you still don't think that's enough, possibly, but we've got teams that are lasting well over a year. We've got Optic that's been together forever. We've got FaZe. We've got, this great story. Like we're drawing things back from AW with the same players in the same teams, and it's so good to see. There was a point in Call of Duty several years ago where rosters changed so often, I honestly didn't even want to bother looking at team sheets until a day before the event. Honestly, I didn't even want to look at it because it was so pointless with teams. I mean, I think I saw one player join 4 teams in one day. Teams just jumping back and forth. Contracts didn't mean anything. Players didn't want to be in contracts. This has all changed. There is still a way to go in the way we can look at things now, but there are several defining factors of what has made Call of Duty a better investment, stronger storylines, and in general a more positive place. Some of this is, of course, Activision coming in with the infrastructure of the CWL. The things like pro points play a big factor now. The fact that roster locks are common before events. This prevents what I'm going to call childishness and stupidity. I don't know if sort of childishness is a thing. It probably isn't. But you know what I'm saying. It allows people to root for specific teams rather than just specific players. This helps the fan base. This helps us understand. This helps break down, my dog's barking in the background. It helps break down everything from event to event. How is this player doing? Are they doing better? Are they doing worse? Is this team got problems? What are their tactics? And it gives us this great storyline up and down, infused to Millennium. When we do get a roster mania, which happened near the start of this game, these are significant changes that we can talk about. Because we have that history. We have Optic in this era of doing, so much the same team over and over and over again. Do they have an off event? Have they got this? FaZe, again, doing better this year than they were last year, but not as good as when this team joined an AW. Great storylines. Contracts are better now. Teams are salaried. Players are salaried. And these contracts, people are being held to their contracts, and I know some of you fans won't get this. A player being held to their contract, as long as it's not a stupid contract, is absolutely right. What was it? Josh almost said he had to sit out part of the season because he was being held on his contract. You sign the contract, that's how it works. And teams and owners are more likely to hold you back now because it doesn't make sense for them to get rid of their investment, especially with the salaries, especially with the buyout clauses that are now involved, especially since pro points and team slots are very important to these teams. They want teams that are stable and are going to stay together for these pro points. Players now have a value associated with them, not just social media or how well they're playing, but pro points is with them as well. This completely helps hold players in place. And when we do get a change, as we have seen recently, a few changes going on, especially when we're towards the end of a season, it allows us to go, well, do we think this is a good position? How has this player performed in this team? Is it a different ethos in this team? Are these players better? Rather than every week we go, oh, it's mental. You know, like 3-4 years ago, it was just so crazy. I don't know if some of you may not have been in the scene that long. Some of you may not remember how stupid it used to be. You go back 6 years, it was pathetic, right? Teams would just join and go, and it wouldn't even matter. Like, you could just make a team of the day, some of these pro players. It's getting slowly better. It hit a peak about maybe 2 years ago, where it really started to lock in. All right, and it really started to get nailed down, which for me is better in a million ways. It allows the history that I know of and the history that the rest of my fellow talent casters hosts know of becomes easier to put across to you lot. It becomes easier for us to digest. Now, if I go back 2, 3, 4 years, 4 years back from then, I would have to tell you about 6 different teams that player had been in that year. 20 different players you'd played with. Right? Doesn't make any... It's just noise. It's just noise to you lot. It's noise to us as well. I didn't want it. I hated it. I hated roster manias. I thought they were terrible. Now, it's a lot better. I can go back. I can talk to you about this run of events this team has had. I can tell you about this player's progression for the last 2 years. Right? And I don't have to go, oh, then you joined X team. Oh, then you left that team, you joined the X team. Oh, then you changed 2 of your members. Then you changed 1 member. Then you changed another 6 players. No one gives a shit. But now, oh, so you went from X team to X team. You were with them, you played for the next 3 events. You did 6th, you did top 8th, you did top 16. It got worse. What happened there? What are you doing next? Right? All this is very good stuff for us to build up the storylines, to build up progression, to give us a course that you have been on and that you're going towards. It allows investors to do more as well. If you're investing in Call of Duty right now, you know that your team is less likely to break up unless there's a serious roster mainly coming along, but you can at least prepare and plan for it. You're not going to have this issue of, oh, our team's just leaving over and over and over again. Endemic sponsors, they can come in. Non-endemic sponsors, we are seeing, Fnatic has joined. Fnatic would never touch COD in a while. Last time they were in COD, it didn't go well for them. They're back. They're in it. It's more stable now. They're getting these investments out of teams. You can build a brand around a team and have your team be likable because it is your team. Not, oh, we're just an org for all these players to just fly in and out of. And it's just a joke because we're signing and non-signing members and no one really cares and they're following players. They're not following teams. You can now follow teams rather than players. So you can be happy when one player changes in and out. Or you could be sad. Or you could say, I lost that player, but I still like the Fnatic team. Or I still like the Epsilon team. Not, oh, I'm going to follow DeQueeve because he's, I like him and he's been in 7 teams already. Obviously he hasn't, but this is, I'm talking hypothetically. This is nothing but a good thing. And like I said, it comes down to several factors. Organisations are not taking people's shit anymore. They are not playing softball when they are investing significant amounts of money. And just so you guys are aware, it is significant amounts of money into these players, into the branding, into their org, because it affects their bottom line. You cannot sell to your sponsors if you are having issues with a team that is constantly changing. There is no brand there. There is just an entity that is rapidly changing with no consistency. You cannot use them for shoots. You cannot use their metrics properly. Nothing works. Activision have brought in, roster locks and pro points. Obviously, there's part with MLG. They had ESL last year. But having pro points, like I said, there's a value to a player now. So these players want to make sure they earn these pro points. They want to make sure that they have enough of them to move forward. And that their value, it's an actual value for the player, for everybody else that isn't a monetary value, right? You can have a great KD and stuff, but nobody really knows. When you buy a player now, you are at the very least buying those pro points to allow your team to qualify for certain things, whether it be pool play or pro leagues or whatever. So that's very good. The roster locks is definitely a great thing. Earlier roster locks as well. I've seen roster locks in the past that were, 24 hours before the event you have to roster lock. No, what we need is a roster lock that goes for a month before the event, or when you qualify for this thing, or where are you in the pro points. This is when the last time you can earn these pro points. This is when you're locking down. For the higher level orgs, it's not so much of a thing anymore because most of the times they're locked in from contracts and stuff. But again, even for the amateur side, at least when you've hit that roster lock now, that you are locked in for a big event. In the past, some of these teams, because they want their pro points for their seeds, when you didn't have those in the past years, if you were an amateur or a semi-pro team, you could be snaked right up until the event. I mean, hell, we even saw snaking just before Birmingham, right? So this is a great thing, and I thought it was something that nobody's talking about. I didn't think anybody was talking about this. How much better it is now to how it used to be. And it's just something I'm thankful for, and it's something I felt like was at least worth talking about as we move forward. There are positives in Call of Duty. This is a big one that I don't think had been spoken about enough, because I know a lot of people were disenfranchised in previous years with how bad it had gotten. So, I don't know, that's me kind of, technically it was a rant, but positive rant. Good way to start up. I've got lots more topics to talk about. They're all going to be coming up. I hope you've enjoyed me speaking about this. I hope people start talking about it. I hope, we at least acknowledge that things are better now. Just cool, positive first video. Thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe, like, YouTube stuff. Tell me what you think I should be talking about. Tell me who I should be talking to. Put a comment. I try to respond to everybody. And until then, we'll see you next time.